Everyone thinks that Omni-Man versus Metro-Man would be an epic battle between two superpowered alien titans, but it's not even close, and I'm going to break down every reason why this fight ends before it even begins. Starting with where they come from, because origins shape everything, Omni-Man, otherwise known as Nolan Grayson, is not the savior that Earth believed him to be. He's Earth's conqueror. Coming from the warlike alien race known as the Viltrumites, Omni-Man is a member of a species of hyper-advanced aliens bred for war and galactic conquest. From birth, he was trained to kill, to dominate, to conquer. The Viltrumites are evolution's cruelest experiment, genetically engineered over centuries through blood-soaked survival of the fittest. Only the strongest were allowed to live. Mercy was a weakness, compassion a liability. Omni-Man is a reflection of that ideology, ruthlessly efficient, incredibly powerful, and utterly loyal. He was sent to Earth under the disguise of a superhero.
We run teams of superheroes to protect our planet from whatever dangers might arise. You don't look like you're from around here.
In reality, he was an agent of conquest, tasked with weakening Earth's defenses so the Viltrum Empire could bring Earth under its rule. He only saw his mission and his loyalties while maintaining the life of a double agent, at least until internal conflict and his relationship with his human family began to fracture that loyalty.
No, I don't trust you. Not anymore. You broke that.
Let's be clear, Omni-Man is not just strong, he's a planetary-level threat who has wiped civilizations from existence. He's torn through cities like paper, slaughtered entire superhero teams that include speedsters, mages, and immortals in minutes, and flown enough to take nuclear-level hits without flinching, and fast enough to blitz supersonic jets mid-flight. In another instance from the comic, Invincible, Thetis, and Omni-Man flew through the core of the planet Viltrum, withstanding its heat and destroying it completely. But more importantly, he's ruthless. We've seen him decimate entire armies and beat his own son nearly to death without hesitation.
Don't do this! It's not too late!
Yes, it is.
He doesn't stop. He doesn't pull punches. There are no limits or rules. He's not even here to save anyone. He's here to win. He single-handedly turned Earth's greatest heroes, the Guardians of the Globe, into red stains on the wall. Not in a fair fight, not in a desperate battle, but in a premeditated massacre. Why? Because they were in the way. Omni-Man isn't a protector, he's a dominator. And when his own son Invincible tried to stop him, Nolan gave him a lecture about why he is wrong while literally beating his face into the side of a mountain. He's not a villain in the traditional sense. He's a true believer of genetic supremacy. He doesn't want your surrender, he expects it. And if you don't give it, he takes it.
I know.
Metro-Man, to most people, is a parody, a Superman stand-in, a punchline. He's a mysterious alien raised on Earth after crash landing there as a baby. But that's only because they weren't paying attention. Behind the Chad appearance, the silver microphone, and the flowing cape, Metro-Man is something much more terrifying.
And I love you, random citizen.
Because parody doesn't mean powerless. Born with super speed, super strength, flight, laser vision, invulnerability, and the ability to hear across the planet, Metro-Man was functionally omnipotent in his world. But most important, he's faster than time itself. He seems like a smiling, soft-spoken superhero from a comedy movie. But don't let that fool you, because when you break it, Metro-Man doesn't just win. He erases the idea of a fight. Metro-Man was born a god. Raised as a child prodigy, worshipped as a protector, he never had to grow into his powers. They were always there. He has super hearing so great that he can hear the cries of ants miles away. He didn't train to be powerful, he simply was. But here's where it gets scary. Metro-Man is fast enough to move while time appears to stand still. He doesn't dodge lasers, he moves after they've been fired and still gets out of the way. In one scene, the most important scene, he pretends to die. The world believes he was vaporized. But in reality, Metro-Man moves so fast he faked his own death by stepping out of existence. He didn't just outrun an explosion, he outran expectation itself. Metro-Man is so fast that time becomes a suggestion.
Even he could survive that. Well, let's not get our hopes up just yet.
And this brings us to the core difference between them. Omni-Man fights because it's his duty. Metro-Man doesn't fight because he no longer has to. That's not cowardice, that's self-awareness born out of wisdom. Omni-Man is a warrior, an apex predator honed in blood and sharpened by genocide. But Metro-Man? He's past the point of needing to prove anything. He doesn't fight for dominance, he's not trying to test his strength, he already knows the result. Let's talk about power, because this isn't even a fair category. Omni-Man tore through the Guardians of the Globe like paper. He flew through a moving subway train while holding Mark in front of it, which is a feat of brutality, not just strength. Omni-Man has punched people through buildings, cities, mountains, continents. He's withstood orbital drops and taken on armies alone. He fought his son across the entire planet, tearing apart civilizations in their wake.
Why?
In another instance, when Omni-Man returned to the Flaxlands planet after their repeated invasions of Earth, he didn't come as a soldier, he came as an extinction. What followed wasn't a battle, it was an execution. He tore through their capital like a force of nature, ripping apart armies, incinerating fleets, and crushing civilization as if they were paper sculptures. Buildings fell, skies burned, the Flaxlands, once bold conquerors, ran like insects before a boot. And Omni-Man didn't stop. He hunted them across their own cities, across their skies, across their world, systematically, ruthlessly, deliberately, until nothing remained. Not a rebellion, not a resistance, just silence. One man, one mission, one message. Earth wasn't theirs to conquer.
You don't seem to understand. Earth isn't yours to conquer.
So, okay, what about Metro Man? He leaned on a building and it collapsed. He caught Megamind's ship mid-air and stomped it dead. The scale of destruction is cartoonish, but that's the point. His power obeys Looney Tunes logic with Superman-level seriousness. He's not limited by biology, physics, or pain. He exists in a world where the rules bend around him. That makes him unpredictable. It makes him unbeatable. Metro Man's heat vision is no joke either, and we can see this when Titan receives his powers. Titan, formerly known as Hal Stewart, is what happens when limitless power meets zero responsibility. After accidentally receiving Metro Man's powers, Hal gains everything that Metro Man had, essentially becoming a god overnight. But unlike Metro Man, Titan lacks discipline, morality, and mental stability. His strength is raw and unfocused. He can throw cars like baseballs, level buildings with casual punches, and tank missiles without flinching. But it's not his powers that made him dangerous, it was his ego. Driven by rejection and resentment, Titan uses his abilities not to protect, but to dominate. He's not a hero. He's not even a villain with purpose. He's a tantrum wrapped in superpowers, a chaotic force that burns brighter the more he's ignored. And that makes him unpredictable and deadly.
You know what's good for you, Titan. You'll stay out of Metrocity.
You got it.
For good.
We see him destroy the entire city with his heat vision in seconds, crash through buildings like they're made of paper, and routinely throw Roxanne around to prove that he can save her. His powers are a testimony to how much Metro Man can do. Just because we didn't see it in full swing doesn't mean that it's not there. They're both hyper strong, but that's not the defining feature. Because where Metro Man's real strength lies is in his speed. While yes, Omni-Man has moved so fast that he circled the planet in seconds, catching jets mid-flight like they were standing still, tearing through cityscapes before alarms even finish ringing. During his brutal rampage across Earth, he covered miles in the blink of an eye, obliterating structures, enemies, and entire resistance squads before they could react. When he wants you dead, there's no warning, just a sonic boom and the aftermath. His speed isn't just about travel, it's a weapon, a blunt force multiplier that makes his attacks feel instantaneous. And worse, he knows it. But while he is fast, he isn't time-stopping fast. But Metro Man, he didn't just fly fast, he froze time from his perspective. When Megamind fired a death ray at him, we watched the world go still, and Metro Man wrote music, reflected on his entire life, left the planet, and faked his death all before the beam hit. That's not speed, that's faster than even Cecil's teleportation by miles. Metro Man yawned that missile. Megamind's Death Ray, a weapon that contains the power of the sun and powerful enough to incinerate anything it touched, and he didn't even flinch. But again, the key is not his strength, it's the speed. Because if you're faster than light, if you perceive time as irrelevant, strength becomes besides the point. And Omni-Man, his greatest strength is his aggression. But against someone who sees aggression in slow motion, that aggression becomes predictable, laughable, futile. If this were a speed contest, Omni-Man wouldn't even see the punch coming before he's vaporized. Metro Man could literally think circles around him before Omni-Man finishes blinking. He can see the punch coming, the reaction to it, the consequences, all before it happens.
Using my super speed, I decided to go clear my head.
Speed is the cheat code, and Metro Man isn't fast. He's unfathomably fast. Time freeze levels of fast. Hyper perception fast. Run around the globe twice while deciding what sandwich to eat fast. Omni-Man would become nothing but a blur, and Metro Man would be gone before the blur even registers. But let's pretend, just for the sake of argument, that speed and power are equal, that Metro Man stands his ground. Then you get into intent. Omni-Man is built for brutality. He doesn't hold back. He won't hesitate to maim, cripple, or kill. He's strategic, calculated. He will absolutely kill you if you're in his way. And he's not above using psychological warfare to break you down. But at the end of the day, Omni-Man fights like a man with limits. He bleeds, he tires, he needs oxygen. He survives by being smarter and stronger. Even while fighting Red Rush, he took many hits. But Metro Man doesn't just beat his opponents. He outpaces them, outsmarts them. He doesn't need to kill you. He just makes you irrelevant. Metro Man doesn't fight. Why? Because he realized something deeper. He was too powerful. He never had to prove himself. He got bored, and that's the scariest part. He wasn't beaten, captured, or broken. He simply chose to walk away. He didn't lose. He transcended the need to fight. Omni-Man is a predator with no conscience, but Metro Man has all the power and still chooses peace. That's not weakness. That's discipline. Omni-Man is dangerous because of his brutality. Metro Man is terrifying because he doesn't even need violence. Because if Metro Man wanted to end a fight, he would. He canonically has never taken any damage. And that's the final nail in this debate. Metro Man left the superhero game not because he couldn't handle it, but because he'd already won. While Omni-Man was busy conquering planets, Metro Man figured out how to go above the game. He saw the endless cycle of violence, destruction, and death and said, I'm done. But that doesn't mean he can't fight. It means he doesn't need to. So let's imagine it. A desolate alien moon. No gravity, no civilians, no tricks, no speeches or distractions. Just Omni-Man and Metro Man, two titans face to face. Omni-Man doesn't wait. He flies forward at sonic speeds, teeth bared, 1,000 years of violence in his wake. His fist is already swinging, throwing a punch that has shattered skulls and ended battles in seconds. And it hits nothing, because Metro Man is already behind him. Time freezes, Omni-Man's punch is still winding up, and Metro Man has already circled the battlefield, calculated every angle, and analyzed every weak point. He taps Omni-Man on the shoulder. Before Nolan can turn, Metro Man is across the battlefield, arms folded, waiting. Maybe even humming a tune. He doesn't hit back. Omni-Man tries again. Collapsing mountains, shockwaves. But Metro Man is everywhere at once, because he's not just fast, he's untouchable. He lets Omni-Man hit him once, just once, it doesn't leave a mark. Metro Man sighs, then blinks, and Omni-Man is knocked unconscious before he even realizes what happened. Though it might not be a one-shot fight, time will easily show that Metro Man is superior. There is no battle, just inevitability. Because this isn't war, and it isn't just a mismatch either. It's a category error. It's like comparing a tank to the concept of light. Omni-Man is terrifying because he's the top of the Viltrumite food chain. Metro Man is terrifying because he's beyond the concept of combat. He never fights. Not because he can't, but because he already knows how it would end. So, who wins in Omni-Man versus Metro Man? Metro Man. Every time, every timeline, every version. Whether he fights or doesn't. Because either way, he's already faster than Omni-Man's next move. If you like this video, check out why Omni-Man versus Homelander isn't even close.